Luzon, Ilocos region, where you can fall in love with the literature. Characteristics: it is known as one of the most colorful regional literature. Prior to the Spanish colonial period, the Ilocano literature is purely a living form of written and oral literature. Ancient poets expressed themselves through folk and war songs. Now let's talk about the representative literary genres. We have riddles, komedia, zarzuela, and moro-moro. In folk song, kumintang. In epic poems, Biyag ni Lamang by Pedro Bucanig. Modern short stories, How My Brother Leon Brought Home a Wife by Manuel Argilla. Prominent authors and contributions. The first one is Pedro Bucanig. He is known as the father of Ilocano literature, have been acknowledged author of Biag ni Lamang, and he translated Doctrina Cristiana into Ilocano. Second, Leonora Florentino. She was known as the mother of Philippine women literature. Third, Carlos Bulosan. He created My Father Goes to Court. Last but not the least is F. Chanel Jose. He was awarded as the National Artist for Literature in 2001.
Literature in Region 2, Cagayan Valley. The literature of this region is a product of the fusion of colonial and ethnic traditions. The Ibanag dialect was a strong factor in the evangelization of the pagan and hostile inhabitants. Representatives in the literary genres: Irayas and Gadangs. Two earliest chronicles of Cagayan Valley Veradan, bilingual weekly newspaper. They were fierce and warlike. They resisted the abuses committed by the officials and their encomenderos to the extent of rising a revolt. It was always the missionaries who consoled the natives in time of the calamities and who pacified them when they revolted. Prominent authors and contributions: Florentino Hornedo, a Palanca awardee in literature in 1989. Fernando Maramag wrote the history of English language in the Philippines. Edith El Tiempo, foundress of the Silliman National Writers Workshop, National Artist Literature.
Region 3, Central, Luzon. Characteristic: this is known as the Tagalog literature because of its grand use of the language. Representative literature genres: oral traditions poems, bugtong, proverbs, kundiman songs, and legends. Here are the representative literary genres. First is poem, bugtong, proverbs, kundiman songs, and the legends. Prominent authors and contributions: Francisco Balagtas, poet of Florante at Laura.
Calabarzon and Mimaropa were the second most densely populated region in the country. Let's talk about its characteristics. Literature from Region 4 is many times classified as folk literature or pre-colonial works in the form of short stories and poetry. Post-colonial and colonial works reflect extreme nationalism. In representative literary genres, there is legends, poems, heroic and nationalistic texts. In myths, there is the legend of Mount Makiling. In short story, there is Dead Stars, the first modern short story. Let's talk about the prominent authors and their contributions. The first one is Jose Rizal, the country's national hero. The second one is Paz Marquez Benitez, the first modern short story writer. The next is Mars Ravelo, Filipino graphic novelist in Darna and Chesiba. And last but not the least is Bienvenido Lombero, the national artist of literature, poet, and critic.
Good day everyone! Now let us study about the literature of the Region 5 or the Bicol region. So what is with the literature of this region? What are the characteristics of their literature? Their literature is influenced by a writing tradition with roots in ancient folkways, folk poems, and verses with mythical content. So here are the representative literary genres of the Bicol region. First we have the corridos. Metrical romance were translated to Bicolingo Comedia or Moro-Moro. It lasted for a long time due to local adaptations. Next to corrido, we have the zarzuela. It boomed during the Commonwealth period, and we have the third one, which is the rawit-dawit. So what is rawit-dawit? It is a narrative poem which is a vehicle of social and political criticism. Now, who are the prominent authors of the Bicol region and what are their contributions to the literature? First, we have Marne Quilates, Palangka awardee, recipient of Southeast Asian Writers Award. Next, we have Christine Bellien. She is children's book author from the Bicol region. Now let us go to the National Capital Region or the NCR. Let us find out who are the authors and what are their contributions to the literature of the NCR and what are the characteristics of their literature. Now let us tackle first the characteristics of their literature. So, the literature of this region bears the influence of the Tagalog, where it has been born and cradled. Here are their representative literary genres. We have the Awiting Bayan, Kwentong Bayan, the folk songs, the short stories, and poems. Now, who are the prominent authors and what are their contributions to literature of the National Capital Region? First, we have Emilio Jacinto, Andres Bonifacio, Severino Reyes or the father of Zarzuela. We have Amado V. Hernandez, a poet, playwright, a novelist, and the national artist for literature. We also have Liwayway A. Arceo, a Palangka awardee for literature, a fictionist journalist. Now we are done with the literature of the National Capital Region. Let us now go to the CAR or the Cordillera Administrative Region. So what is the characteristic of their literature? The literature that best describes the rich culture which have been preserved and practiced as customs and traditions that ideally show the unique and bountiful writings. The Cordillera Administrative Region representative literary genres are the following. They have the epics, the songs, short stories, legends, and myths. Now, who is the prominent author of the Cordillera region and what is her contribution to the literature? The author or the prominent author of this region is Maria Luisa B. Carino, an award-winning poet and fictionist, consistent Palangka awardee for literature.